Lantana Removal Queensland. Thank you very much for popping in. We run out of Narangba in Queensland and we eradicate Lantana. So 0449 986 880 and Lantana Removal Queensland on Facebook, and also .com.au on the web page. So basically I've sent in a submission to the CCC, the Crime, Corruption and Commission, whatever it is, questioning these situations with the councils and their actions with the Lantana and stuff like that on their lands. So they're acting illegally by not cleaning them up, which we've all covered before, and I'm getting a lot more customers that are coming through and saying, listen, you know, can you help us out? Because all through that section of Mount Me, which is this video is shot for, which I hope you enjoy, it all shows how bad the infestations are down the sides of the mountainside, hillsides, all on council and main roads lands. Huge infestations on the roadside reserves. Now they refuse to do anything with it, so they're acting illegally, and it's time that somebody held them accountable. And also this affects all Australians, so I'm getting much more pressure from people asking me to take the fight directly to these government departments and ask the questions of them, because we just cannot allow this material to continue to grow in the way it is. Because it's trafficked by water so badly, when you look at the footage that you'll see there, the amount that it washes down off the hard surfaces, so it's coming from the high side of the hillside down through the roadside, across and flooding down the low side, and then continuing straight across the paddocks. There's plenty of places there where it's 200 and 300 meters across people's private land, and as you watch that material being flushed by water and extended by water, you'll see how it also turns the other way as the slope falls down the hillside, not just into the property, into the gully. You can just track the whole material as it traffics across people's properties, and it's completely illegal. So we need to start mounting pressure on the main roads department, councils. I've contacted quite a few of the councillors, so please sit back and have a look at the videos and have a look at how much it is spread along those hillsides and things like that. And it's all to do with the maintenance regime that the council doesn't have in place. Okay, I'll leave that at that there. I'll be doing a couple of little bits through the video. So thank you very much for popping in, and please sit back and enjoy the video, and thank you very much for watching. Well, hello everybody. We're just having a little drive along here through this section, and you can see the left hand side how much of this Lantana's there. Now this film footage is not very good. It's just my amateur attempt at showing exactly what these infestations are like across Mount Me, but you can see both sides of the road here start to come in on the same sort of stuff. It is just rampant, this material, and it washes down off these surfaces as the rain propagates it, and it invades the properties along the sides of the roads, which is highly illegal according to the state government ruling on your Biosecurity Act. On the left hand side it's near 15 feet tall. Through this section it's very, very bad. It really starts to take over. They've just put in an estate there. Yeah, you'd love to live next door to the bloody side of the road, and what Aboriginal council's bloody to their ratepayers, let alone the fact that they're breaking the law by allowing this material to just exist here. They have to be reducing the mass, they have to be isolating the material, and they have to be stopping the material from propagating and spreading. The only place it changes is where people are actually bloody at all looking after their own stuff. Look at that. So this stuff on the left hand side is just crazy how thick that stuff is. And it comes in around this light post, and just that property inside that cutout there is absolutely covered in the material. Makes you wonder whose property. And it really, really is so sad when you see how bad. Completely swallowed up. Look at it on both sides, pouring off the high side of the road down through this low side, and then it just continues across that farmland on the left-hand side of this. It's just absolutely disgraceful. Only where people took over all the way the council willfully say to people, "No, no, we're not going to do anything with that roadside reserve or that Lantana there." And people have no ability to protect their properties from it. These infestations through this section are just incredible. This whole high side of the road is just massive, the infestations there. And it flows through this left-hand side and straight down into these people's property here. They've got about 77 acres up for sale. And I would say they're an older couple because, you know, if you look across there, it looks like the animals have been removed from the property for a considerable amount of time, and they're trying to sell out as they've gotten older, I'm guessing, and less able to cope with the weed pressure created by Moreton Bay Regional Council here. It just becomes an insane problem. You look down further through the property there, and you'll start to see how it's about 300 metres straight across that property that's already been taken over by this material. And it only started on these verges of the roads, but while cattle were there and other animals, it kept it at bay as far as the landowners could poison the rest and keep the rest under control. But as people are losing control of these areas because the council's allowing this stuff to infiltrate, that level of those infestations just to the left there are just crazy across that beautiful land. And it's completely against the law. It's illegal for them to be allowing this to happen, and yet if they wanted to walk in there to that property owner, they could say to the property owner, you need to clean all of your land up. And there's very little that the landowner can do about it. So I've written to the Triple C to ask them to look into the matter, because these things are just out of control. It's absolutely terrible with these things, and it is something that we must deal with, and we must do something about. It's just crazy how bad this is, and with the fall of the land, the amount that this material travels is kilometres upon kilometres, and councils and the state government just don't want to address that issue because they consider that it's too expensive, and yet on your property they won't allow that as an excuse. You have to cut a perimeter track around it to isolate it, and then you must lower the mass. Now, they are not under any special exemption from these processes. They are governed by exactly the same laws, but they lie to you directly, and there's no problems about it. Anyway, look, thanks for popping in. This is just a little film of these things to try and start to show people exactly what criminal activities the councils are getting away with, and now we're asking the Triple C to look into these things, because you can't have main roads and local councils do. Hello, I'm Gary again. Just popping in to tell you that the still photos that you'll see here coming up next, they are related to watercourses locally around the Debra area where the vine material is just rampant through the canopy, and it's very hard to take decent film footage and then put it all together for you, because I'm not a filmmaker. But the council has absolutely no work process in place to do anything with any of this material. So when the floods come through, when different things come through, all of this rubbish gets washed downstream, and it propagates even further downstream, as well as the seeds, just through normal time of waterway travel. So there is no system in their process that they're doing anything about weeds, and yet they still collect money off our rates and that for weed suppression. On their websites, they have to, by law, by the state government, have listed their weeds management program, but they have written to me quite openly, quite happily. They've been to my house, Brisbane City Council, and said we have no weeds management operations with Lantana at all. It's zero. We're not even interested in it. There's other things that we're interested in, and that's not one of them. And that's a deadly plant. So the other 31 weeds on the list, they're not doing much better with those either. So that's a reason why these still photos are here. Please look very hard at the amount of material in the tops of these trees and through these trees, and just understand that that's what I'm trying to get the point across, that our waterways are being choked, and your waterways are your arteries, the same as your body. So that's how you judge the level of healthiness of your system. So please enjoy, please look at those things, and I hope it makes sense. 0449 986 880, LantanaRemovalQueensland.com.au, and Lantana Removal Queensland on Facebook. Thank you very much. Please share all the information around. The more you can share it with four-wheel drive groups, with mums and dads camping, all sorts of different groups. There's no group you can't share it with for importance. The push is to move us out of state forests and national parks to try and cover up exactly how bad these things are, and that then stops any process of any monies being put towards remedying these problems. The more they try and cover them up, the worse the problems are actually going to get. The more we remove the animals from the systems, the worse the problems get. They do not get better, they get worse. So we need to actually stand the politicians up and make them accountable. And if your area is flooded in Lantana, ring your council, get your councillor out there and stand him up in front of it and say, listen, this isn't good enough. I don't want this here anymore. It's deadly. It's toxic. I want it gone. And that can be rat's tail. It can be a lot of different weeds. Stand them up and get them out there. That's what they're taking the money for off you for your rates. And if you get to the elections and they haven't done all this stuff, which Mr Turnbull's not the least bit interested, he's never returned any correspondence, then we need to replace these people. Now, Bill Shorten is no better. He's been written to too, and he has not responded in any way at all. So none of these people that are currently in place have any better process than the other, but we need to start standing up and taking notice of these people and deciding, are they going to do something, or are we going to have to replace them? Thank you very much. We'll catch you later. I'm Gary. Bye-bye. Well, hello everybody. Here we are again, just going through these weeds and vines through these trees to show you some of the watercourse material. They have no policy in place to do anything about this material with the lantana there in front of you now, the vines that were there before that. It just creates such an enormous amount of problems with these areas, and there's no policy in place. They don't bother to do anything at all with this material. And it's just crazy looking at it, expecting it to get better by some other means. Anyway, thank you very much for popping in and watching this. I really appreciate you taking the time. Please share these videos with everybody you can think of and all of this information so that we can actually get some action to be taken on this subject. Thank you. I'm Gary. Bye-bye. Catch you later. Hello everybody, that video was brought to you by Lantana Removal Queensland. I'm Gary, my son and I do the work. 0449 986 880. Please join the fight against lantana and other noxious weeds. Lantana is just the one on top of the list, which is toxic and been proven to have on record as having killed children and people in this country. So how some of these government departments and councils throw around low risk is very, very hard to understand. But the councils and government are, as you have seen, they are responsible for controlling this material, from stopping it from spreading off their lands, from contaminating your lands, and they've been completely negligent in that fact. And that goes for national parks and wildlife, goes for the forestry, state forests, goes for all of the government departments. Southeast Queensland Water, who has some of the most massive infestations you've ever seen, next to national parks and wildlife. They are just incredible, a criminal amount of material growing in their lands and leaving their lands and propagating itself further along the watercourses. The fact that this material is spread by water is a major concern. It shows up very, very well on the film footage of the way it's on the high side of the hillside, through across the road, down onto the low side, in a complete blanket of material, and then down through properties. You'll notice where some of the people in some of the videos have much better control of it, where they're more active and they're able to get around their properties, and they're running cattle, so they're able to keep their land and maintain it at the fence line. But you'll see others where the farmers have gotten much older and they're looking to sell out. The property's worth too much money, which is one of the biggest things that we're going to face in the future with farmers, is that the only ones that are going to be able to buy farms in Australia are going to be the Chinese and outside interests, and that's absolutely criminal that we're allowing that to happen and that our government's actually encouraging those situations. But we've gotten to the situation where a lot of our farmers are too old to be able to physically do the work around their properties, and it is causing them a great deal of hardship that these councils and local governments, state governments, are hanging them out to dry and allowing this material to just run rampant against the law off their lands and through these people's properties. You'll see some of that footage on this one here, and it's a terrible, terrible thing to see how it propagates across those surfaces. So we're fighting to bring this to the CCC's attention, because it has to be a crime when you're breaking the law as a council and you're allowing this material to propagate. You're not lowering the mass of the material at all. You're not controlling the material or reducing the mass of the material. You are not stopping it from entering people's properties. You are willfully allowing it, as in the Main Roads Department. You're allowing it to propagate from the roadsides straight down the watercourses and propagate straight further downstream. So people are fighting those infestations kilometres upon kilometres further downstream. And it's completely illegal. But they laugh at you when you say, oh, listen, you know, we need to do something about this. And they say, well, listen, we'll get hold of the council. These are actually conversations with the Main Roads Department. And you say, well, you know the council won't do anything about this. Yeah, we do. Yeah, that's right. Well, maybe you have a legal section that I can talk to, and you can explain to me how come you're circumventing your biosecurity obligations legally. Oh, hold on a minute, sir. I'll try to get onto somebody. But see, we aren't playing hard enough with these people because they are breaking the law. They're above the law. They've taken people to court and prosecuted people with a lot less money, and forced them to manage those issues on their lands. And yet these guys are completely operating outside of the law, and they know they're operating outside of the law. There's not even like it's a not that they don't admit it. So that's why I've gone through this CCC, and we'll see what comes back from them. That's only early days. I put that in today, so please keep checking back, and let's see what we get back by those situations, and hopefully we don't have to create a class action where a lot of citizens sue these people. But as our work expands along these areas, it's becoming more obvious that we're going to have to take this action against the councils and against Main Roads and against the South East Queensland Water National Parks, because they are infesting our properties, and water flows downhill and so do the seeds, and we actually need to start looking at compensation and damages. So either they want to get on board and start getting these things sorted out, or they want this stuff to come to them. In which case I would also suggest to you that you want to start asking your councillors for your local council to come out and inspect those things, and you want to have a piece of them properly and say, hey, listen, this needs to be cleaned up. Your general biosecurity obligation states that you must keep that material off my land, and you must actually clean that material up. At the moment they're just saying we can leave it there forever, and that's absolutely not the case. So thank you very much for popping in. Remember, Lantana Removal Queensland, we are fighting for you. We are doing our very best to get this out to the people. The more you share this, the more that the people beside you know, and the more that we can create a proper outcome that has significant outcomes for our flora, our fauna, and the rest of the country. Thank you very much. I'm Gary. Thank you very much for popping in. Bye-bye.